Hey everyone, we will move forward. This video is has some previous link. In the previous video I was telling about that how to containerize Node.js services, and we went to that step where we were successfully able to create our container. uh, we, we were able to test that container with the help of Postman running on my host machine. We hit the API and the API was running successfully, and our container was saving data to our database, which is present in my virtual machine. In the previous video, I also mentioned one problem which was with this approach, and that problem was that whenever we will ship that container, my that there may be issue that my SQL database will not be present on that place where we will ship this container, and in that case our service will fail. And also other thing, because other reason we can do is that we are using this uh, config file, local.yml file, where client is MySQL, and these are the connection parameters: host, port, user, password, database. And there can be reasons that whenever we will ship this container to some other place, there are 100% kind of chances that at that place MySQL will not be present, and if that will be present, this will not be the address of that MySQL. So 100% our service will fail on that place. So we have to get some solution for that, and that solution is Docker Compose. Docker Compose is basically which compose kinds of multiple services, container multi which kind of join multiple containers together to work as a single successful running software. So we will use Docker Compose here. Docker file is also used, will still be used to create the main image of this service, but to create other containers as well, Docker Compose will use Docker Compose will be used. So uh, this is the Docker Compose file which I have created. Let me copy all the content, and then I will explain all the things present in this Docker Compose file step by step. First of all, I will create docker dash compose dot yml file to speed up the process, and to shorten this video I have created this file, and now I will explain this instead of writing all these 43 lines one by one. So this is our Docker Compose file. This Docker Compose file will use version 3.8 of Docker. This version is 3.8 is of Docker file, basically, and not of this version is not of Docker but of Docker file. So this version will be used, and and secondly, we will using some multiple services. We already know that in YML files things are being understood on the basis of indentation. So this services, there are two services used here. One is MySQL and the second is exa. These two services will be used, and in the MySQL services, exa service depends on MySQL service. This service, the MySQL service, exa service depends on this service. So first of all, this service, this container will be created. You can say this is container or maybe service. first of all, what will happen that this container will be created on the basis of this image. This image of MySQL 8.0 officially present on hub.docker.com. This image will be pulled from there, and then from that image our container of MySQL DB will be created, and then this container will be created, and this container will use this MySQL DB. So this in this way our both containers will be joined together and will run as a single software, successfully running software. So first of all, image will be official image of MySQL version 8.0 will be pulled from hub.docker.com, and then this is restart that when exactly we want this MySQL DB container to be restarted. I have said here unless stopped. This container will restart only when I will manually stop this container. Otherwise, don't restart this always. And in this environment thing, we use our environment variables, and here I am saying that in this container MySQL server will be started, and the password of that MySQL server will be root, and the database which you have to create by default in this MySQL server will be exa_dev. The host, there are basically four main things of any database: host and username are other two things. Host will be whatever the address of this container will be, and the user will be root. Password will be also root, and this will be the default database uh, of this server, MySQL server, which will be running in this container. Secondly, there will be ports, and MySQL server will be running on port 3306 inside this container. In this MySQL DB container, MySQL server will be running on port 3306, which will connect to outer world on port 3307. So this 3307 port will be of my virtual machine, you can say. With the help my virtual machine port 3307 of my virtual machine is mapped to port 3306 of this container. And in the last, this is volumes. For the time being, we can ignore this thing. This is basically contains some data that whenever our container will restart, it will use data present here kind of as a cache. And now this is another service, exa, our main service, which depends on MySQL DB service. And this is the build path. Our dot means current directory, and our main service will use our image for this main service will be created from this current directory. Build means the path from where image will be created. This container will use this image, and this whole container will use image which will be created from this service. And the name of the container will be exa, and in the same way ports here, this container will our virtual machine port will be 3002, and in the same way the port of the container will be also 3002. And these are now the environment variables. Environment variables exa port is 3002. Basically, these environment variables keys, I also want to explain this thing as well, that we are using the config package. Config, officially it is a very famous package, version 3.3.7. This config package basically helps us in uh, in creating our config files for different environments, for development, for production, or for staging, test environment, whatever. We are using this config package, and this config package contains custom environment variables file as well, which overrides all other things. So these are our environment variables. These environment variables I am using in this Docker compose file. So these are the exa port 3002 and exa client mysql2, and this is basically the address of my virtual machine 192.168.75.130. So my here I will tell the address of this MySQL, that now instead of using MySQL of my virtual machine, my service will use MySQL of this container. This container I will approach this 3307 port here on connection port, and on this port I will approach this MySQL instance. Host will be same because this container is present inside my virtual machine. Connection port will be 3307. On this 3307 port I will approach this MySQL container. User will be root, and password, as I have mentioned here, when this MySQL server will be created, Docker will use this password, root password, and I am using the exact same password here on line 30. Root password I have given user is by default root, which is not mentioned here, but Docker always creates a default user with the name of root. exadb and smtp host, these are some other environment variables which we don't need to discuss right now. So these are basically here basically I have given the whole address of this MySQL server which will be running inside this MySQL DB container. So I want this container to always restart whenever I build the image, or I would then want this container to be restarted always. These are some other parameters which you need to ignore right now. So basically this is my whole docker.compose file. Now I need to save this file, and now I need to run this file. Now I need to run this file with the help of docker-compose up. This is building exa, sending build context. It is using most of the things from cache, because node image is also already being present locally. This process is we have done all this process in the last video, so it is using all this thing from the cache now. So our service is now running successfully on port 33002. So let me use this service. So before using the service, let me confirm that our container is being created. Yes, our container is being created here, the exa rest interface exa, and this MySQL container is also being created. Both are created about 23 seconds ago and 25 seconds ago. This is our container which we created in the last video. Some other process with the help of docker file and docker run command, but these two containers are being created with the help of docker compose command. So let me access my this is running on port 3002. So let me access 3002 port here. So 300 on 3002 port, our API is being run successfully. But now what one thing I have to confirm, that our data is being saved successfully, but on which database it is being saved. This is one thing which I have to confirm. Either it is being saved on MySQL present on my virtual machine, or MySQL present inside inside the container. This one thing I have to confirm. This is the database. Let me refresh here. It is not being uh, our this is the database table present inside the database, which is present inside my virtual machine. So when I refresh here, it is not being updated. So it is now confirmed the data is being saved on MySQL present inside MySQL DB container. So basically, let me show you once again. When I run docker ps command, this container is running, and whenever I hit the API, this this data is being saved on MySQL present inside this container. So in the next video, I will show you that how we can access that database inside dbeaver. So actually we can see that data inside inside dbeaver. So see you in the next one.